I officially introduce Dr. Iloidi, I'm just going to ask her to speak for a moment to make sure everyone can hear her. And if someone wouldn't mind just typing in the chat box to let us know that the volume sounds okay, then we will move forward here. Dr. Iloidi, if you wouldn't mind just.
Good morning, everyone.
Want to make sure that the sound is good and you can hear Dr. Iloidi clearly. Let's see. All right, we got a thumbs up.
We can hear them.
I'm getting everything from we can hear you, a little bit of feedback to it sounds a little fuzzy. Oh, and she's got a little friend there too.
Yeah, we got a little friend. Okay. Okay, how about now? Can you guys hear me okay? Is it fuzzy?
Very fuzzy from you.
But loud enough. Sorry.
Loud and fuzzy are the feedback.
Loud and fuzzy. Okay, I would like to fix the sound if we can, Marla, prior to continuing.
Okay.
If that's the feedback that we're getting.
Maybe being closer to the microphone is not the solution, scooting away.
I don't know if that's gonna, because they say it's loud enough, but it's fuzzy.
Maybe if you speak a little softer is the mention. There's less feedback if you speak a little softer.
Okay. More of an echo, okay. All right.
Yeah, you sounded good right there.
Mm-hmm. At that volume, and then they can turn up their computer volume if they.
Oh, I literally was whispering, okay.
Yeah, it is much better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I can definitely do that. Thank you so much for that feedback. And I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. I know it's not always easy to give me that feedback. I'm just making sure that my PowerPoint is up.
Okay. While you do that, I'm going to also just mention at the top right corner of your screen, if you click on view and choose speaker view, you will be able to see Dr. Iloidi's presentation as well as Dr. Iloidi on your screen in a better view. And if you haven't met Dr. Iloidi before, she is our medical director. We're very happy to have her with us this morning. I am hoping she's going to share that she has found the secret to the fountain of youth, and she is going to share her secrets with us, but she's here to talk about healthy aging this morning. So she's going to take a moment and share her screen here, and then she will get started. We can see that. There we go.
All right, thank you so much. So this is one of the discussions and seminars that I have done in the past, and I've also done this in connection with Dr. Betsy Baum, who is also a medical director as well. And so we oftentimes will tag team this. And some of the information in this, I kind of tweaked a little bit. And, you know, when we get to those parts, you'll see the places that I tweaked it. But I really wanted to just impart the study. Some of this stuff is going to be review for you guys, but this is just going to prove even more that what you know is the correct information. So we're going to define successful aging, describe some normal changes of aging, discuss the importance of exercise, nutrition, cognitive stimulation, and social engagement for successful aging. I love this. This is Grandma Moses, and she produced her last painting at the age of 103. And the reason why I love this is that it just really shows her skill set and just the fine detail that she was still able to impart even at 103 years old. Compression of morbidity. What is that? What is compression of morbidity? That means that we want disease to be gone. And what is that defined as? And I love this quote. This quote was from 1980s. in the New England Journal of Medicine. Although there is little hope for cure of chronic disease, the onset of the disease will be postponed. We can envision a society where one can live in vigorous health, close to average lifespan, and die after a brief period of illness. And I love that. And we'll get into how we would like that to look. So a little bit about reserves. I don't know, you know, it's kind of difficult because I love having just a discussion for some of you guys who've met me. I love having a dialogue that goes back and forth, right? But this concept that when you're young, there's a lot of things that can happen to your body, and you're able to overcome those things. Uh-oh, my little helper, there we go. You're able to overcome those things because your body and your organ systems are stronger. As you get older, it takes more of your energy to just have the basic organ function. So your body is using a lot of energy just to have the basic organ functions, to do the day-to-day things that was previously doing when you were young. And so what that means is when you're young, you have all of this reserve. And so if you catch a cold, you're able to get over that cold. If you catch the flu, your body's able to heal from the flu faster. Versus as you get older, your reserve is maximized because it's trying to keep your body running. And so just a tiny little bit of stress can sometimes throw everything out of shift, can sometimes cause an imbalance. So whether that's a cold, or if it's the flu, or if it's, you know, some of the things that maybe younger generations can survive that maybe the older generations would not be able to because of that challenge. So aging changes the rule of thirds. So let's talk about the aging changes. So we have normal aging. We have what we call chronic disease states, and we have disuse and abuse. And again, I'm talking about this because I'm not just talking about longevity. I'm talking about being able, again, that vigorous health, to live a good quality of life. So we're going to define aging just a little bit more. So as we get older, and I'm going to start with the brain. As we get older, we start to have more difficulty in the brain because the brain starts to wrinkle a little bit more. The spaces in between get a little bit larger, and what we call neurons don't fire as much as they should. As we get older, things don't work as well. Our kidneys don't work as well. Our liver doesn't metabolize as well. And so all of the balance, again, your body continues to want to be in balance, but your organs are starting to age as well. And again, it's taking everything to keep your body where it needs to be. And so it can't really cause any more, it can't have any more stress than what it already is trying to fight. Which of the following contributes most to life expectancy? Genetics, environmental factors and health-related behaviors, being married, higher education. So I want to know what you guys think about this. So some of you guys might think that genetics, right? We may have a first-degree relative that lived for a very long time, And there is some data that says that folks who are married do live longer. And there is data that shows that individuals with higher education also live longer. But the biggest contributor is environmental factors and health-related behaviors that contributes to our life expectancy. So said in a different way, our choices. So this was a beautiful study done, and it was called the EPIC study. What it showed is that individuals who don't smoke, individuals who exercise, so not smoking, exercise, who have what we call a normal weight. We also call that a normal BMI, and a diet that is rich in vegetables and nutrients are 78. I'm going to say that even a different way. Almost 80% have an 80% less likelihood of developing disease. So all four of those factors, not smoking, exercise, having a normal weight, and eating a diet rich in green leafy vegetables are more likely to have less disease. So other things that, again, that we talked about that contribute to successful aging. So these are the three components. These are the big three components. And I kind of went over them before, but it's, again, avoiding disease. It is engaging with life. We call that socialization. You guys might have heard that word, socialization. And maintaining high physical and cognitive function. This was a different definition that came about in 2008. And I love this as well because there are a lot of studies that are starting to come out about attitude, about personality, about adaptive skills when it comes to how somebody can adapt to their surroundings in their environment. Optimal aging, a state wherein an individual is able to invoke adaptive psychological and social mechanisms to compensate for physiological limitations, to achieve a sense of well-being, high self-assessed quality of life, and a sense of personal fulfillment, even in the context of illness and disability. So that's a little bit different. This is saying you still have disease, you still have chronic disease, but they're able to adapt socially and psychologically. So said in a different way, is they're adapting your attitude. They're making a choice to be happy, to say that this is where I'm at and I'm gonna make the best of it. And they just did a recent study just last year on individuals who had some pretty chronic debility and they still were able to adapt and had a sense of self-worth. I often do these, I used to do these talks pre-COVID at churches, and I also include sleep, water, and self-care. I do that, I say sleep, because a lot of us don't get a lot of sleep. A lot of us walk around and we're sleep deprived. And as well as having time for yourself and drinking enough water. Most of us are down 2 liters of water. I don't know if you remember the pop bottles that came in the 2-liter jugs, but we're down about 2 liters of water. And so your body doesn't function, it needs its function via water. If we don't have enough water in our system, our body is not going to function the way it's supposed to. So I always add that one as well. So life expectancy you know, we continue to have life expectancies. I believe it's almost 77 years old now is the average life expectancy. And I love this one. Americans reaching the age of 65 today can also expect, on average, to live an additional 19 years. So I know, again, that's a stat. I try not to give you guys too many numbers, but I think that's actually an amazing statistic. And I think that we need to remember that even at an older age, we can still adapt healthy habits. So let's talk about exercise a little bit. How many times do you guys hear this? Exercise, exercise, exercise as a prescription for everything. And really, there's no magic pill. There's no magic anything to it. Exercise has been connected to improving back pain, brain health, heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, cancers, sleep disorders, preventing falls. The list goes on and on and on. If we can remember that the opposite of what happens when you don't exercise is deconditioning, we can think about all the things that are connected with deconditioning. If we can remember that lack of exercise is connected to obesity, we understand that obesity is connected with 14 different cancers. And at any point, if you guys have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions as we go. Again, I really would love for this to be a dialogue where I'm able to answer some of your questions as well. The highest evidence that regular exercise reduces disease, there's so many studies, heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, cancers, osteoporosis, and depression. I give you my grandmother's story. We're at increased risk of osteoporosis, which is kind of brittle bones, fragile. And when you do resistance exercise and resistance, anything that gives you resistance, even with a band, that helps build up bone. It actually releases elements in your body that builds bones. So it doesn't have to be your weightlifting. It could just be a regular band where you're just kind of pulling it, and that helps strengthen your bones. Question number 2, how often do you exercise? Some people say at least twice a week. Some people say I never have. I did before med school. That was my answer for a very long time. And the first week in January each year. So let's talk a little bit about the United States. So 70% of adults report irregular or no leisure time physical activity. And 20% of adults are active at a moderate level, and 10% are active at a vigorous level. I'm gonna tell you what light is, because we always use these words, light, moderate, intense. As an older adult, it should be around moderate, light to moderate, depending on what your ability is. So walking is going to be light, strolling, cycling, like a stationary bike. Swimming, I cannot tell you how good swimming is for the body. Very good for the body. Stretching, golf is always great. Home care, mowing, and home repairs. So just light things around the house. This is where we would really love for our older adults to be, right here at that moderate. We're walking or briskly walking, cycling for pleasure, swimming, conditioning exercises, playing sports if you still play tennis, golf without a cart, If you're, doing your home care, mowing the lawn and home repairs such as painting. And we think of this more as vigorous, where you're jogging and you're cycling fast, you're swimming fast. These are more high impact sports. But guess what? They say a lot that we're supposed to do 30 minutes of exercise so that we can get our heart to a certain rate, but exercise is dose dependent. So say you can't exercise, or you don't have time to exercise, or you just don't want to exercise for 30 whole minutes. Try 10 minutes 3 times a day, or try 15 minutes twice a day. So it's dose dependent. And the more you exercise, the more you have those healthy factors to decrease disease. So there was a study, and I love this study because it is called the Midas trial, and it had 73,000 women in it, 50 to 79 years old. And what they did was they took the women that did light exercise, moderate exercise, and vigorous exercise, and they kind of put them all in one group. And the individuals that did moderate to vigorous exercise had the best health. And the ones that had light exercise to no exercise had the worst health. Again, these studies just continue to prove, and they followed them over time. These studies continue to prove that exercise was the key to living longer and living a better quality of life. So here's my prescription for you. Strength and power. So for strength and power, we recommend 2 to 3 times per week. Okay? High intensity, so rapid gain, so high intensity, increased resistance. Again, that's just with the bands. Bands on your bands here. You could pull a band. You can just get those like at any store, Target or Walmart, or you can put those little ankle weights on and march in place. Those are all great for strength and power. Endurance, 30 minutes most days. That could be walking. That could just be walking, cycling, using the treadmill, and go about 50 to 75% of max. That means give it most of what you got, but not till you're falling off the treadmill. Flexibility, you want to do light stretching, at least 15 to 30 seconds daily. Every day, just some light stretching. That's going to help you when you have to reach on the floor and pick something up, when you have to, change positions in bed. Those are all great ways to stay flexible and agile. Balance. So again, you want to do balancing exercises at least 3 times a week. Some folks do yoga. Yoga is so great for balancing. Other things that are great for balancing are like Tai Chi. I'm going to say maybe in a post-COVID world, we'll be able to do some of these things together or via Zoom. So I worked 90% of my clientele that I worked with had problems with what we call activities of daily living. We call these ADLs, activities of daily living. And for the most part, we wanted to improve these components, or their caregivers wanted to improve this for the individual that they were taking care of. We wanted to improve personal hygiene, dressing, eating, maintaining continence, and transferring. And so the ask is how can I get them to either improve it or maintain it? And again, looking at all the studies, the best way to do this were exercises in hand grip exercises, as well as exercises in flexibility, which I just was talking about, as well as strength and power. And this continued, this study was looked at over 8 different studies. And it maintained, the results were maintained that hand grip, flexibility, and power and balance were all contributed to maintaining activities of daily living. So the effect of physical activity on disability, okay? We call it major motor disability. That just means disability in older adults. So health education versus physical education. So what I mean, physical activity, excuse me. So that means I basically hand you a sheet of paper and say, here's a sheet of paper. I want you to do these exercises versus let me put you in physical therapy so that you can have these exercises and do these exercises. And so what this study looked at again is that individuals who were active, who actually had the activity, fared better than individuals who just were told to read about it and do it at home. So cognitive function and aging. Some of you guys may not know that there are over 50 different types of dementias. But cognitive function is extremely important to healthy aging. So number 3 question, which of the following is not associated with normal aging? Forgetting to pay the bills, needing more cues to recall newly learned information, taking more time to learn new information, more difficulty with multitasking. So all of these except for A, forgetting to pay bills, are associated with the normal aging process. Needing more cues to recall newly learned information, taking more time to learn new information, does take more time, and more difficulty with multitasking. So the impact of the brain, what happens as we get older. I talked just a little bit about the anatomy of what happens. So learning new information gets a little bit harder to process, what we call that encoding. It gets difficult to retrieve that information. For example, you may give me 3 words, I have to give you those 3 words back. It may take me a second or you may need to give me some help to recall that information. Reaction time might be different, maybe slower, increased difficulty on time tasks. It may take me longer to do, to wash the dishes or to vacuum, or, it may just take a longer period of time. I can still do them, but it takes longer for multiple reasons. Crystallized versus fluent intelligence. Again, that's an encoding process. That just means it takes a little bit more time to retrieve the information. So overall, how do we maintain our cognitive health? And so the way we maintain our cognitive health is through, number 1, healthcare, right? So we are really blessed to have the technology that we have. We have the technology to know if we have diabetes or if we have high blood pressure, but also if we're depressed. It's very important that we treat diabetes and we're compliant with our medications, that we maintain a normal BMI or weight, because that leads us to other disease states. What else is important is that we eat a nutritious diet and that we continue to exercise our brain. How do we exercise our brain? And that is through social engagement. And I know for some folks that might be a little bit more difficult. I'm an introvert. I am happy in my little cube, in my little office, but it's important that you socially engage. That helps the brain form new shortcuts, new what we call neurons. It helps the brain maintain those neurons as well. So there we go. This is my explanation. So here I am, I'm gonna meet somebody. I'm making myself go out. When you make yourself go out, say I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go dance. I'm gonna learn salsa. I gotta first get to the place I've never been. I have to meet people, remember their names. I have to do new dance steps. So as you see, multiple pieces of your brain are just flaring up. Multiple neurons are being made. Multiple circuits are being made in the brain versus when you don't do it. So you can kind of see what's happening there. Learning new things, your brain is staying busy. Not using it, those neurons are dying off. There are mixed reports on brain games. However, I have seen it. Brain games are extremely helpful for the same reason. You're continuing those connections. You're building new connections, new circuits, and you're maintaining the old ones as well. So, of course, you know, I'm always going to have to go back to exercise, but I at least wanted to prove it. Again, what's good for the heart is good for the brain. We know exercise is good for the heart. But remember, where that fresh oxygen, which is held by our red blood cells, goes. It goes to the brain. So it improves blood flow to the lungs, to the brain, and it gets rid of all the toxins in our body, right? So now it's clearing away all the toxins in the body, especially here in the brain. So this is another study here that showed the intervention being diet plus exercise plus cognitive training plus disease treatment. And this, what is shown that these individuals had some of the longest, they had the most longevity out of any group, is doing all of these things together. So it's not just one thing that you're doing, it's really doing all of these things at the same time. Just a word about vision. Oftentimes when I would have somebody come in the office, it was important that I understood what their vision acuity was. Because if they can't see, they're unable to do some of the screening tests that I would have. Sometimes if you couldn't see, that even led to a little bit of depression as well, or disengagement socially. So it's important that you do get your vision checked at least once a year, once every 2 years. Here it just says that at least a quarter of elders had treatable visual loss. Hearing loss, it is very common. A lot of people will mistake hearing loss for confusion, and a lot of individuals who have hearing loss will, again, they will socially disengage because they can't hear you. So it's easier for them to not be social because of that reason. And again, what happens when you're not social, well, that picture that we pointed to before, your brain, you're not working your brain when you're not social. Your neurons begin to die off, or you don't maintain your neurons, and then again, it becomes a cycle. Super important that we maintain our body weight, and that it looks different depending on who you are. We call that BMI. And this is the way some of the American diet is going to. this is just a little bit about what that looks like, those numbers there. And question 4, fact versus fiction, nutrition in the elderly, which one is false? 16 to 30% of older Americans are malnourished or at high risk. Most people continue to gain weight as they age. Most older adults do not need high-dose antioxidant vitamins like A and E. Older people can eat up to 30% of total calories in unsaturated fats. Okay, so which one is false? So it's going to be the last one. Excuse me, it's going to be B, sorry. Most people continue to gain weight as they age. And question number 5, which of the following is the most common vitamin deficiency in elderly? So a lot of folks take a lot of vitamins. And my word about vitamins, because I plan to do vitamins next month and just do one that's concentrated on the most common vitamins, is that the majority of people don't need as many vitamins as they think they do. Our body only uses so much of the vitamin, and the rest of the vitamin is excreted from our body. And we're literally flushing money down the toilet. So the question here is, the most common deficiency is vitamin D, especially in Ohio. Weight and nutrition in older adults. So as BMI usually increases until adult life, until about 50 or 60, and then we decrease, and then the weight decreases and we become more frail. A word again about vitamins is that they have been linked. Some vitamins, such as the antioxidant vitamins, have been linked to increase risk of lung cancer and death. So a lot of folks think that since it's a vitamin, I can take it, it's from the earth. It's a lot of things that are from the earth. I wouldn't take it. It's a lot of things that are natural. I wouldn't take it. Again, it does have its own risk and its own side effects. And so I'm going to just touch a little bit on nutrition. So the one that has been studied well is what we call the Mediterranean diet. And what that looks like is that you're going to eat every day, you're going to be physically active. Every day you're going to eat lots of vegetables, grains, the real grain, not the bread that they try to give us now, but real wheat grains, nuts, and olive oil, fish and seafood as well. Question 6, which of the following has been associated with the Mediterranean diet? Reduction in stroke and cardiovascular disease, decrease in frailty, associated with better cognitive thinking function, decreased risk for colon, prostate, and breast cancer. And that the answer to this is all of the above. The Mediterranean diet has been connected to all of those. So this is just a little bit more. You want to control your fat, low-fat diet. Mediterranean diet has nuts in it included, so, and not a whole bag of nuts. Just a little bit, you know, just a serving or 2 of nuts, which is actually pretty small, and extra virgin olive oil. 30%, so this has shown a 30% reduction in stroke and cardiovascular disease. And there has not been any other diet studied to show these reductions, not yet. So this is, and I can give these slides to Marla, but again, this just goes to how many servings of fresh fruit you need from this diet, how many vitamins and calcium you need, and just the things that you need to limit. So it's just more specific information. Okay, so again, like I said, this I know was probably a review. You guys already know you have to exercise, but I wanted to, it doesn't change. There's no magic pill. There's no fountain of youth. It takes discipline and hard work, exercising, walking, being cognizant of what we put in our mouths, making sure that we stay active and engaged, even in times that we don't want to be active and engaged, making ourselves read a book or do a crossword puzzle or something to keep us stimulated, to keep our memory and our brain going. And how we live on a daily basis clearly impacts your current and future health. I'm not sure if anybody smokes, but again, even smoking, even if you stop as an older adult, you still get the health benefits of quitting. You're never too old to quit. You still get those benefits. Same with exercise. You're never too old to start exercising. And again, it's dose dependent. Start with 5 minutes, start with 6 minutes. It doesn't matter where you start, it just matters that you start. And these are my references. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Iloidi. If you have any questions, you can click on chat at the bottom of your screen and type in those questions. I thought I'd take a moment just to reiterate, and glad to hear a lot of the offerings that we have available to our members that focus on wellness go right along with the items that Dr. Iloidi mentioned that are key to successful aging. So I just want to point out to any of those of you that might not have already attended any of our programming, every Monday we offer a Movement Monday. So we have exercise class twice a month. We offer twice a month Balloflex class, which is a seated exercise class that is really for any fitness level. Even those of you that might be more used to a vigorous exercise program, Balloflex will definitely get your heart rate beating as you participate in that hour-long class. We also just received an opportunity. One of our care coordinators will be becoming a master Tai Chi instructor. The Ohio Department of Health had opportunity for individuals to apply and offered 2 grants for folks to become trained as master Tai Chi instructors, and one of our care coordinators, Cheryl, was approved for that certification. So we're excited to soon be able to offer that as well. This month on April 21st, Chris Bolden, who is one of our care coordinators and also performs exercise classes twice a month, will be doing a talk on balance and exercise safety. So if you haven't registered for that already, please take a look at that offering. And along the lines of brain health, we do offer a monthly brain health series by our cognitive expert, Jennifer Brush, that we offer on a monthly basis. So lots of opportunities to engage and receive instruction and information and exercise, all that are positive ways to age healthy, as Dr. Iloidi mentioned.
And it also, I don't know if those who have pets, that's why I had my little buddy up earlier. There are several studies as well that pets help you live longer as well. So hug those puppies and cats.
Danielle's thanking you for your information that you shared. Not seeing any specific questions coming through. We'll give you another moment to click on chat at the bottom of your screen and type any questions that you may have. Dr. Iloidi, you mentioned that you will be talking about vitamins next month.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to talk about vitamins in its entirety. That probably could use a 3-hour talk, but we're going to go over it in 45 minutes and see where we get. Thank you.
Someone asked if the water does it matter if it's ice water or temperature of the water when you're talking about intake requirements?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I personally like room temperature water, but it doesn't matter what it is. It's if you take it in. Being cognizant of folks who have, disease states, maybe congestive heart disease and things like that. But really, a lot of people they don't even drink 2 bottles a day. You'd be surprised.
Very good. I don't see any further questions, but everyone is very thankful for the information that you shared. So we appreciate you taking time to be with us today, as always. We look forward to seeing you again next month.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. You have a great day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.